Today's video is brought to you by award-winning VPN Surfshark. Hi, if you couldn't already tell by the number of trinkets I'm currently adorned in, yes, I recently got back from a trip to Japan. We actually had our honeymoon for just over a month, split between Japan and Korea, which is why I was MIA, my apologies, but what better way to come back than with a two-part haul, because you already know shopping was done. Japan especially has a very special place in my heart just because my first trip there back in 2018 definitely correlated with me finding and discovering my personal style, and a bunch of items that I got over there are still some of my favorites in my wardrobe today, including the top I'm currently wearing. So I'm totally guilty of getting a little bit carried away with shopping when you're on holiday. It's very exciting, you've saved up all this money and it's a bunch of stuff that you won't be able to get back home, but I was trying to be extra mindful with my purchases this time around, especially because I only had one suitcase for over a month. That was very limiting in itself, and you will not catch me paying for extra baggage at the airport. Wait, what do you call like the opposite of buyer's remorse? Because it definitely led to a little bit of that, like amazing items that you saw but regretfully walked away from. But that's okay, I can live with that because the items I did pick up I am very, very happy with. For example, literally the first purchase I make, Holy Grail wish list item. I arrived in like mid-October and they had recently released this beanie in 3 colorways. Originally, I really was after the light gray and cream. That one was unfortunately already sold out, and this one was only available at a couple of the locations, so I knew I had to grab it. And I kid you not, the knockoffs that have been floating around on Etsy ever since Nana got popular a few years ago are actually more expensive than this was. Majority of the stuff I got was actually thrifted, but another in-store purchase I made was at Hysteric Glamour. Call me a basic bitch, but I freaking love that brand, and I really wanted the experience of being able to shop in person. My favorite location ended up being Ginza. I actually wasn't the biggest fan of that area as a whole, but the Hysteric store definitely had an amazing range and the friendliest staff. A bunch of the stuff in there is outside my price range, and at this point I still had high hopes for thrifting Hysteric items. I'll get into that more later, but what I ended up getting was this scarf. I absolutely love the color and texture combo on this, and I thought it was a really fun upgrade on the poor quality black and white scarf that I have been wearing to death. Honestly, I feel like it's been almost a decade at this point of skinny scarves being a staple for me, so I felt like this was a really safe purchase, something that I know I'm going to treasure for a really long time. And another thing that has been an absolute staple for me for many years, especially when I'm traveling, you know how it is, you find yourself using some somewhat questionable public Wi-Fi, but you deserve to still feel safe, and that is where today's video sponsor will always have your back, award-winning VPN Surfshark. Surfshark is a virtual private network available to download now as an app or browser extension. All it takes is a couple of quick and easy clicks to ensure your peace of mind whilst browsing. They protect all of your personal data by encrypting the information sent between your device and the internet. That means no more companies and bots keeping tabs on you. You can also use the clean web feature to prevent tracking, malware, and phishing attempts. And for those of us who require constant stimulation across multiple devices, I'm talking the TV, the phone, the iPad, they're all going at once. Don't worry, they've got you covered there too, because they actually offer unlimited devices under just one account, so you'll always feel that sense of security. And of course, you can also change your virtual location, unlocking content from around the world. This truly came in clutch for me because the new season of Love Island Australia started while I was still away, and I could not miss out on my ultimate guilty pleasure show. But you can try it all for yourself risk-free because Surfshark offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. And at the moment, if you head on over to surfshark.com/spotlight, they're currently offering a limited time holiday deal where you can score yourself 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. You can simply scan the QR code on screen, or for more information and links, you can check out the description box below. You guys know I love a good camo moment, and there was an abundance to choose from over there, but I was very much giving Goldilocks, very particular with my decision, just because a lot of it was much of the same, nothing really unique that stood out to me until I found this jacket. I love that it has the little red accents to it, and the fit of it was just a little bit more feminine, I suppose, than a lot of what I had been seeing. A very classic 2000s cut, the sort of thing you'd expect to see in Gilmore Girls, which is definitely my preference when it comes to jackets. Plus it's not too thick, which is perfect for the sort of weather we get here. Another jacket with a very similar silhouette actually, with the lapels, the button down, the pocket situation. I loved the wash on this denim though, and the fact that the stitching gives the illusion of a pinstripe I thought was interesting. And then obviously the extra flower detailing just tipped it over the edge for me. Like, this is definitely the sort of thing I would wear if I was in a mid-2000s show, be it live action or animated. From that same store, I also picked up this little Burberry Blue Label knit zipper. Super easy to wear, you don't have to think too hard, but it still just looks good. It had some staining on it that thankfully I've already managed to get out, but it did mean that I was able to get it for a really good price. I think it was like $50, $55. That's Australian, so if you live pretty much anywhere else, the conversion is even better. I was honestly just shocked that I found anything in there because it was from, is it Koenji in Harajuku? So I was expecting it to be completely picked over. I think the beauty of that store is that it is so large, there's so much stock in there that people can't actually be bothered to search through for the gems. And I do just want to say, I guess, to manage expectations if you guys are planning on going, that I feel like the vintage shopping isn't as good as it used to be. Obviously post-COVID they've had a huge tourism boom, so things are a little bit picked over and more expensive than they once were. It's not a biggie, obviously you still can find some good stuff, but you might be spending more time to go further out to other suburbs to really find the deals. I think koenji is recommended quite a bit. It's almost like what shimokitazawa used to be, but I do think I prefer it just because it was easier to find different aesthetics. That's one thing I feel like people don't really talk about very often, but a lot of the vintage shopping in Japan, I believe, is curated from America, and they're stocking very similar items in all of them. So if it doesn't necessarily fit your personal style, you're probably gonna get pretty over it pretty quickly. Obviously there are thrift stores specializing in other styles, but they are a little bit harder to come by. I feel like this American core you can walk into pretty much anywhere you go. But yeah, I did really enjoy koenji, and actually all along the same train line you can go to, I think it was Kichijoji, which I really liked. That was probably my favorite spot. Beautiful lake to walk around, great vintage shopping. You can get the famous Totoro cream puffs, and even the Ghibli Museum is in that same area. I didn't go to it this time around because I've been in the past, and this time I was actually going to the Ghibli Park in Nagoya. But yeah, really nice chill area. And then again, along that same line, you can hit up Nakano Broadway, which is like heaven for secondhand trinket shopping. And there's also popular specialty stores like Closet Child that have a range of secondhand Lolita goods, and Vivienne Westwood as well. I actually went to their Osaka location, and that's where I got this adorable Access Femme cardigan and matching brown velvet tank top. Such a cute set to be living your shoujo girl fantasy, and anything from this brand secondhand is always so cheap. Definitely one of my go-to searches on Buyee. And actually Osaka in general, I've always kind of preferred for thrifting. Two stores that I would recommend trying, especially if you are more into that 2000s sort of style, is Ruby's, great for like fairy grunge, and then one where I actually picked up two jackets is Calico. I already showed you the camo one before, but this denim jacket was one of my favorite finds. I just instantly fell in love. Like immediately, does it not look like something you would have seen on Pinterest with the asymmetric zip? And I love the button detailing on the sleeve as well. And I really like how you can kind of play around with how the collar sits. I will admit that fully zipped up on me, I'm kind of giving Best Jeanist impersonation, but I'm not too mad about it, okay? Because he did kind of eat with that, right? But yeah, I just felt like they had a good, unique selection. And even the girl working there, I think was probably the best fit I saw the entire trip. I will forever be a lover of graphic tees. I will also forever be very disappointed that one of my favorite lines is meant for kids. Hysteric Glamour Mini had so many amazing options. Unfortunately, since I squeezed into the 140 size, there wasn't as many designs available, but I was really happy with this one that I picked out. The other graphic tee I got is from one of my all-time favorite stores, Junie Moon, which is completely dedicated to Blythe dolls. I thought this shade of purple was quite unique for a graphic t-shirt, and also how could you not fall in love with the little Planet Blythe design? If you're a fan, or honestly even just vaguely interested, I can't recommend this store enough because it feels like an experience in itself. Everything is just displayed perfectly. Like how some people feel about Disneyland, that's how I feel about Junie Moon. It's giving magical. I was definitely interested in buying a doll as well. Not all of them are for sale. A lot of them are just the outfits. And out of the ones that were available, none of them like really spoke to me. And I wanted to be 100% certain that was the Blythe doll for me, considering how expensive they are. So currently still on the lookout, but I did pick up a lot of cute little trinkety bits. I think I'm gonna save all of that for another video because it is literally a whole washing basket full. So maybe we can do like a chatty haul redecorating the room sort of thing. Honestly, that was probably my favorite part of shopping in Japan, was for the trinkets. You could drop me in a book off and I would happily spend hours just sifting through the secondhand merch. I guarantee you, you will find a gem every time. Some of the bigger book offs also offer clothing and designer items. One of the biggest ones I went to was in Osaka and I ended up scoring 2 hats. I love this leopard one. I could see it being a little bit polarizing just because the shape is different, let's just say. And the other one Sam actually found for me, it is this Vivienne Westwood beret for only $30. Such a steal for such a classic timeless piece. Can you guess the next 2 items? They're things that I have been yapping on about for the longest time. Oh, they're gonna be the next big trend. We're still waiting for them to peak. I still have hope for it though. Yes, it is a poncho and an apron. Don't get me wrong, I love the really glam faux fur ponchos that we've been seeing recently, but realistically, I don't think I'd get as much wear out of them as just a classic crochet moment like this. Obviously, bonus points for this baby lemon shade. And that color theme did indeed continue on to the apron choice as well. They had a bunch of vintage 50s and 60s aprons, but this is the one I gravitated towards. I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely convinced into the purchase by the girlies working there. They were up for a good chat and they had them styled so good on the mannequin, but since it's something I've been interested in for a little while anyway, I feel like it's still worth it. Just in general, a lightweight layering piece hates to see me coming. This one was no exception either. It's just a little cutesy tulle tie-up and I did thrift this, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear that it was a recent release just because it was from, I guess, almost like a Buffalo exchange type, like people go in and sell their old clothes. Actually, that was probably one of the busiest thrift stores I went to. It was like packed with locals, or maybe it was just like in contrast, every other store on the street was practically empty, but the prices were pretty decent and it wasn't as curated. Like there was a bunch of different types of aesthetics in there. There's a bunch of popular secondhand chain stores you see all over the place. One of my favorites being Second Street. I went to a lot of these. I only ever purchased something one time, but still I would recommend if you see one, it's worth having a look. For some reason going over there, I had just deluded myself into thinking I would find all of the best vintage hysteric pieces. Absolutely not the case at all. It was actually so hard to come by, and even when you found like a decent section, it might be this big and it was very much giving trash that nobody wanted, still for really high prices. Like you would have way better luck just going on by. And that's saying something because the prices on there can get crazy too. Honestly, the best range that I saw was actually in Busan, Korea. So I don't know. But with that being said, I'm very thankful that the thrift gods were on my side this one particular day when I spotted this hysteric cherry print denim skirt. And I was actually lucky enough to find this very early on in my trip. So as time went by, I started to realize just what a good find this was. And I believe it was like 101, but that was before I got the tax free off it. Is there pieces with more iconic imagery that's associated with the brand? Yes, but I feel like you cannot deny this is so up my alley and my personal style that I just could not be happier. Like once we're finished the haul, please by all means let me know what you think was the best find. But for me, I think it has to be this. This is one of those pieces that is somehow at the same time both trendy and classic. It is this blue button down, only it's not a button down because it's a zipper instead. Actually, no, not just a zipper, but a double zip, which is like the final boss of closures for me. Like people who obsess over pockets in dresses, that's me with anything that has a double zip. But yeah, just a really good quality wearable basic. I love the detail of the gathering and cinching in both the sleeves and also around the waist. Truly, when something's this simple, the fit really does make all of the difference. Again, just going back to that first trip, I will always have a soft spot for X-Girl as well. My pickup this time around was this super lightweight open knit that's kind of inspired by a jersey. If we're being honest, probably one of my less necessary purchases just because it does kind of seem like the sort of thing you could pick up somewhere else, but I still love it and I am an absolute sucker for a pink and red duo. Like that color combination is always going to be delicious. Also pink and green, even all three together, which is actually how I styled it when I wore it with my camo skirt. And it kind of reminds me of, what was the brand? It's not Wildflower. wild fox. Back in the Tumblr days, like the oversized open knit sweaters, it's kind of reminiscent of that. Another thing that is super hyped up on social media when it comes to shopping in Japan is secondhand designer, and I can confirm there is a lot of it, particularly designer bags. But I do also just want to say, although you're getting them for a really good deal, it doesn't mean that they're just magically dirt cheap. Like, they still cost a pretty penny, which I know seems like a very obvious thing to say, but I do feel like there is some sort of disconnect, especially if you are on Japan Travel Talk. It feels like everyone who has been there in the last couple of years comes home with their dream designer bag. And I feel like a lot of people making their itineraries, it's almost like must eat ramen here, go to this cafe, Universal Studios, get a designer handbag. I too was influenced going over. I was so excited. Like, yes, this is going to be my first ever big designer bag purchase. The girlies make it look so easy to find the perfect one for you, but no. After going into many stores, I came to the conclusion a lot of it was just very meh. Not for me. Not my taste. I was specifically looking for Vivienne Westwood, which I thought would be even easier because it is such a popular brand over there. I think Vivienne Westwood just isn't luxury enough. Like, it doesn't really fit the mold when you're also stocking Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga. But also with that being said, there's a lot of Coach branded things. So I don't know, but I had pretty much given up all hope and just been like, okay, it's not for me, not this time around. But on the second last day, I found the one. Vivienne Westwood plaid Yasmin bag in the largest size, mind you, for $170. I believe they retail for over $1,000. She's clearly been loved. The handles are a bit worn, but the price tag reflects that. And honestly, when it comes to a big bag, it almost feels like something's off about it if it is too pristine. I don't know, in my head, a big bag like this is supposed to be used and loved, and I'm just happy that I get to give her a second life. I was about to wrap things up and then realized I hadn't shared any of like the magazine's miscellaneous items, but a bunch of it can probably be included in another video, especially if you are interested in seeing the trinkets and stuff. It's just like CDs, magazines, anime goods, character goods, gachapons galore. There's a little bit of everything, but I guess I will just say that I managed to find a couple of fruits magazines because I think that is something a lot of people are on the lookout for. I wasn't able to spot any earlier editions, but honestly, the early 2010s era is kind of slept on. There's actually some great style inspo in here, and I got these from the Giant bookstore in Daikanyama, which is also very close to the Blythe store. This is another one of my favorite pickups. It is absolutely jam-packed with style inspiration. I'm thinking about doing a full video trying to recreate some of my favorite looks. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in or any video ideas at all. I feel so refreshed and ready to jump back into making content that I actually love. I'm sure you probably could have noticed that my mental health wasn't really doing the best, but honestly, the 5 weeks just going MIA has done me the world of good, which I am very relieved about. So let me know what you want to see, and don't forget to check out today's video sponsor, Surfshark. Again, all of those links are in the description box for that exclusive deal, and hopefully I'll see you again really soon. Bye.